Welcome to Daily Revelations. So we're still in Ruth 4, focused on relationships today. And relationships in the time of the judges, relationships were handled much different than we handle them in the Western world today, which I'm assuming most of my viewers are from. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. And I think that's something that, as I'm in my biblical theology class, and that's something we focused on today, was looking at how the church has kind of morphed and changed based on cultural and other things, but is it still the church? And are we still the bride of Christ in all of those different denominations and other things? And are there true believers in each of them? And the answer is yes. God has the ability to come within the constraints that we as humans set in our lifestyles. And so looking at Ruth through that lens this is the way they lived. And the relationships, as a Westerner, we can't look at the way they handled that as wrong. It was just the way it was. And God was working in and through that story and those relationships because that was how they worked culturally. So definitely take that lens when you're looking at and circling all the different relationships and learn how God used those things to bring about his story. But what I want to focus on today is Judah. And so I'm already a minute and a half in here, but I just want to tell you a little bit more about Judah and how can a man who, well, I told you about the story yesterday about how Perez was born basically to his daughter-in-law through him. How can God continue his lineage through a relationship like that? And I want to tell you more about Judah. Okay, Judah was the fourth son of Leah. So basically fourth in line for the birthright to Jacob, who in turn became Israel and then the tribes of Israel. So, but there's something about Judah's story. If you go back in Genesis to Genesis 37, so all of the brothers were conspiring against Joseph. If you know the story of Joseph, his brothers, he had this dream that he was going to rule over them, and they didn't want anything to do with that. They threw him in a pit, and they were going to kill him. Judah said, how about we trade him instead? He basically saved Joseph's life. But that wasn't the only thing he did. So later on in the story, a famine comes, and they need to go to Egypt to get food and trade. So first time they go, Joseph recognizes them. They're his brothers, and tricks them, gives them back their money, gives them food, but keeps one of their brothers, Simeon. He's one of the older brothers of Judah. In telling them when they come back next, they have to bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, who was only to Joseph, there was only two sons born of Rachel herself, and that was him and his brother Benjamin, and he wanted to see his brother Benjamin. So anyways, long story short, they try to hold out. They don't want to go back. They leave Simeon. They don't really care, but they don't want to bring Benjamin because they know that of all the sons, that Joseph and Benjamin were Jacob's favorites. And in the end, Jacob says, you got to take your brother Benjamin. You got to go. We need food. That's just what it comes down to. And so they go back. And in the end, as all the brothers are going, what are we going to do? Judah himself approaches Joseph, not knowing he's his brother, and says, take me instead. Trade my life for my brothers, because my father's heart is going to just die if Benjamin disappears. And Joseph is able to see that this brother, Judah, truly cares for his father. And in the end, when Jacob is on his deathbed, he passes over the first three brothers. And this is in, so the story of Judah giving up or saying, I'm going to take that place is in Genesis 44. But in Genesis 49, at the end, Jacob is giving his blessings to his sons. His first son, Reuben, he basically says, you're as uncontrollable as water. That there's nothing I can trust about you. And then he talks about Simeon and Levi, that they have swords that implement violence, that they're angry, they're self-willed, and their anger is fierce and cruel. And then we come to Judah. And Judah is the one he blesses and gives his birthright. Judah's heart, his intentions, his desire to do right was still there, no matter how much he had messed up in his life. And he got the blessing. And God does the same thing with us. If we have a heart that truly accepts his grace and realizes that we need a savior, we are sinful, we can't be perfect, and God doesn't give blessings on perfect people. He blesses us because we realize we need him, and we come to him and we lay down our lives and say, take me. Just like Judah said, make me the slave. Put me in that place. I realize I deserve this. And in doing that, God can use us because we are humbled. And there's so much in the Bible that talks about humbling ourselves before God. And it's really seeing our need for him and that we can't do it without him. So that's why God continues to use imperfect people to do his perfect will, because there's nobody that's perfect. And so we just do our best to continue to allow God's grace to cover us and all that we need to do. So I hope that's an encouragement to you today. And just keep studying in Ruth 4. I'll see you again for one last video this week as we wrap up this book. And then I think we're starting on Nehemiah next week. So anyways, have an awesome day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.